time to get a call from Andy Cruz, the Mole Patrol.
Yeah, that's right. It is the Mole Patrol here on reality TV RHAP-Ups, talking about the first 5 episodes of Netflix's The Mole. Hello, everybody. It's the Mole Patrol. I'm Josh Wigler. I am joined here by a fantastic panel of guests, an explosive lineup, if you will, here to talk about everything that has happened in these first 5 episodes of The Mole. First up, we are so thrilled to have her here because she knows a thing or two about integrity being rewarded. It's the great Jessica Liese. Jess, how are you? Jess is muted.
Sabotage.
Sabotage.
It's
Podcast
cool.
sabotage.
It's only because it's live. Like
Mhm.
that's what happens when.
Yes. Such a moley behavior here at the start of the podcast.
Am I the mole, or am I trying to make you think I'm the mole?
Ooh,
Oh, okay.
Dropped the mute button on the way back from the beach. Speaking of buttons, somebody who always knows how to push them, the legendary Brooklyn Zed. Welcome to the show.
Am I a button pusher, or am I just principled in my beliefs and going after what's mine?
I think that the two things can coexist with each other.
I'm certainly a proponent of both can be true.
I think that both things can be true. Now, this is the last person to bring onto the podcast, but certainly not the least. And in fact, he's already won 1 exemption, but it looks like he might be greedy here as Rob Cesternino returning to the Mole Patrol.
Yes, Josh, please refer to me by my new name. I go by El Dorado.
Ooh, the road too.
A
Oh my
truly
gosh.
golden name.
Yeah, the golden god himself here on the podcast. Oh my gosh, friends, may I just say, what a joy this season of The Mole has been thus far. Are we happy? I feel like we're happy.
It is the trash fire and the dumpster fire
Yeah.
and the forest fire of a season. I
Yes.
think. But you got to just lean into that being the situation.
Yeah.
I love it. It's been so fun. I think I've really, really enjoyed it. That I feel like that there's little to no like connective tissue between this and the Mole proper that you all covered previously, other than the name and sort of like just like the overall like concept of the show. But that being said, this in its own way has been a very fun program to watch this week.
Yeah, Jess, a critical difference between the original era of The Mole in the United States and this current iteration of The Mole, beyond the fact that there is no Anderson Cooper here, is that usually in the past, you would have like a few people who were like really good at this, pretty good at this. Turns out we have a cast of just nincompoops all the way down.
Well, when you say good at this, are we talking about good at the tasks or good at the meta game of sussing out who the mole is? Because I think those are 2 different skill sets. And I'm not saying that anybody on this program has either one in spades, but
Yeah,
I think that somebody might be playing, like there are a few people that are actually playing the meta game pretty well,
sure.
whereas everybody sucks at the tasks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone, Rob, this is it's a good thing these people didn't get on. Maybe Too Hot to Handle would have been good, but Taskmaster would have been a disaster.
Yeah, these people are still very attractive, but I do think there's a third possibility, Josh, that maybe the mole is that good.
Oh, it's possible.
Maybe this might be a transcendent mole that has everybody twisted.
Yeah, Zed, I think that there is a non-zero possibility that the mole is just Joy, who every single chance she's getting is like, yeah, I will clear you of all of your money every single time, and I don't care if you know it's me. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah, it could kind of go one of 2 ways. It could go, everybody is bad at this, so it's okay if I cost us money because everybody else is also costing us money. Or it could be everybody else is costing us money, so I don't actively need to do anything.
Right. Yeah. My goodness, though, some of the characters of the show thus far have really just been living rent free in my head for the last many moons since we started watching this. I think sending this out in that first 5 episode batch, really strong move by Netflix. Do we think, Rob, that the Mike Bloom, Dalton Ross prophecy of it gets better, stick with it, has borne out?
Yeah, it's definitely been a great first week. I wasn't as down on the first episode as some people were, not just Mike and Dalton, and talking with some other people that were kind of down on the first episode, but we're happy that they stuck with it. But yeah, it's just been just a super fun week. And some of these characters are so great. I really am hoping to see much more of them. There's a couple people that, you're sad to see them go. And really can't wait for the next batch of episodes.
Jess, I feel like we were a little concerned in the first episode. It's like, oh, it's just going to be COVID show. We're just going to be at Avengers headquarters for the entire time. And we're just going to be sort of like Big Brother housing this thing. But it seems like we are just like, mole crawling all over Australia, which I have found to be tremendously fun.
Yeah, and the amazing part is that they are going to different places in Australia that maybe I haven't even seen. Like the last season of Amazing Race Australia, not the one that just wrapped, the one before that, stuck to Australia and was like 900 episodes long. And there still hasn't been a significant amount of overlap. I feel like from a travelogue standpoint, I'm really getting my money's worth.
Yeah. How much money is that worth, by the way?
It's about $3,500.
Uh-huh.
Now convert it.
Yeah, to Australian dollars.
All right, so we're going to talk about everything that has happened in these first 5 episodes of The Mole thus far. Of course, don't miss an episode of this podcast when you subscribe to Reality TV Wrap-Ups. So Rob has a podcast, The Mole Patrol podcast feed as well. Ratings and reviews greatly, tremendously appreciated. I do believe that there's been some sabotage on the Mole Patrol podcast feed that if we have not straightened out yet, we are working on it, Rob. I don't know where we have landed.
Well, hold on. I didn't.
Yeah.
There was sabotage on the podcast feed?
A little bit of sabotage on the
Oh
Mole
my God.
Patrol
This is
podcast
the first I'm
feed.
hearing of this.
Mhm.
Listen, all
Yeah.
y'all.
So we're on it, folks. We know that there's a mole behind the scenes, and we are doing our best to ferret that person out. Or I guess just mole that person out.
Yeah. Get
Keep
your
the
rodents
ferrets
right,
out.
Wigler.
Keep the ferrets out of this. We are going to be doing these first 5 episodes today. I believe 3 episodes are coming out next on Friday. We will be back again live here on the RHAP YouTube for people who want to be watching these podcasts live. We're going to have a really fun time. We've got a live chat if you want to be involved in any of that. Give us some live feedback as we are going here on the Mole Patrol. So let's get into it. How do you want to begin? Do we want to begin at the end, Rob, on the fact that we have this explosive cliffhanger that we are left with Hurricane Joy, who is just about to steal all of the money all over again?
Yeah. So, I mean, I really don't know how much of a cliffhanger it is because it seems like Joy loves exemptions. And if we know Joy was willing to basically give up all the money in the pot to take an exemption, I don't know why she would not take one here. I don't even know necessarily. It's actually like less than half of the money that she took for the last exemption.
Yeah,
So
this is nothing.
This is nothing. A drop in the bucket for Joy, and she's greedy.
Yeah, I'm greedy, Will. Sorry, Will.
Greedy shot first.
Yeah, McClunky. Jess, do we think that there is any chance that we hit the next episode of The Mole and Joy is not going to go for the exemption?
She has to go for the exemption. Like, that's pretty much her character now. Like, that's why she's here. And I am loving Joy because she feels so much like she was plucked out of a 2005 reality show, maybe along the lines of the ones we used to talk about in the quiz, and just plunked down into the middle of a 2022 program because she stands out as so villainous in a way that people used to get away with 15 years ago that they don't really get away with so much anymore. Like, she's very over the top, and I love this about her, and I think it makes the show work a little bit better. We need Joy.
Yeah, I think that she is OTT. I wonder if we all think that she's being set up as a villain. I think that there's a few villainous candidates on the show this season. I think that that's part of the thing that I'm really enjoying, is I think that there are a lot of different adversaries. There's like lots of different clusters of people who are together. Like there's the Pranav and Avery contingent, but even within that, Avery is starting to break bad. So I don't know, Zed, do you think of Joy as sort of like the big bad of the season thus far, or what?
I think she's just a total wild card. I mean, her predictability is in that she's unpredictable. But also everybody else keeps putting her in positions that she shouldn't be in. Like, how many times has she failed to navigate something? And how many more times are we going to let her do that?
Yeah.
Before somebody, wises up. It's like they all exist in this vacuum that reality television has not existed for the last 20 years. And they have no concept of strategy when it comes to these sorts of programs.
Yeah. Rob, obviously, like the cast has been screwing up these missions left and right recently.
Very bad.
Least. They were accumulating a good amount of cash at the start, but it's been really, really bad this last little stretch. But in this particular, in the C4 challenge that we are left with here in this cliffhanger of episode 5, they know that exemption is on the line. They know that they have to, masquerade and put on their toughest face of wasabi pea eating, apple cider vinegar guzzling courage in order to work their way towards that exemption. And they also know that they need to get only that as long as they have one of the butts in the seats that is a detonator, that they should be okay. Did they royally screw this up by not just like unilaterally voting Joy out first? Shouldn't they know that if an exemption is potentially on the line here, that she's going to go for it?
That's a good question. I feel like we didn't really see a lot of like the voting deliberation. It was sort of like, I guess it was kind of like secret ballot, but I feel like that, Jordan Kalish hosts Mafia games that have like more talking about how the votes are going to go before.
Jordan's integrity is unimpeachable, as we know. So it's not really a fair competition.
So it didn't really seem like there was a collusion happening.
Yeah.
There was some amount of collusion on the DL. And there's a couple of moments, I don't know, when we might want to rewind it and come back to this linearly, but there were some moments where I clocked some Molly behavior here. I clocked some instances of perhaps the mole using Joy as sort of like a proxy.
A mole shield?
Yeah, a mole shield. Like, put Joy in a situation. She's going to F it up for everybody. So if you're the mole, just make sure Joy is doing the thing that you want to be screwed up, and you don't have to screw it up yourself.
Yeah.
Just, can you say who you think was doing that?
There was an interaction at the dessert course.
Usually is.
Yes. An interaction at the dessert course is my favorite Agatha Christie novel.
I thought that was one of the Ryan Johnson, Benoit Blanc mysteries coming to Netflix.
It's the next one.
Yeah.
So they all had their knives out, right? And they're eating their dessert. And there's an interaction between my top two mole contenders here. And I don't know, like, I feel like we're diving straight in. We're not.
Yeah.
Party.
5 episodes. We probably have like an hour and a half to talk about it all. Let's just go in. Mole Monday. Yeah.
Mole Monday. We're going to talk about the Jacob and the Kazi of it all, because there was a really curious interaction between the two of them where I cannot tell who felt the molier in this situation, but it felt like they were trying to keep Joy at the table. And they're eating, and Jacob acts like he bites his tongue, and then he says, well, Kazi's eyes are watering. And between the two of them, they both get kicked off the table in that round, leaving Joy at the table for whatever comes next.
Right. So you're supposing that Jacob or Cassie would be particularly mole-ish in that moment. That Cassie would want to get kicked out of the table to like further like push the toothpaste out of the tube. The toothpaste being joy, and the tube. I've lost the metaphor.
Yeah.
She's to get her closer to the exemption.
Like, get her closer to the exemption. Keep her at the table.
So may I ask a question? And again, I don't know if the like original mole lore is in any way like predictive or connected to what this production is doing. But does the mole come into that challenge at the table knowing which seat to potentially sit in or not sit in?
They might.
They almost certainly they correct me if I'm wrong, Jess, that my memory of this is that they are going to at least be given like some advanced heads up on what the mission is, so that they have some if it's not like a full outline of how the mission is going to be laid out, they are given like certain instructions of not what to do necessarily, but like what is possible in order to sabotage things further.
Yeah, I think so. And in this case, it is entirely possible, if we want to go full galaxy brain, it is entirely possible that if Jacob is the mole, he knows where the detonators are and he's getting people to vote off a person with a detonator.
Right. Oh my gosh. You can't trust the firefighter anymore.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think it's too obvious, but I also clocked some things. This was but one of them.
There are a few people who I think have been given sort of like these really obvious mole edits, and it makes me want to look at the ones who haven't been given as much of an obvious mole edit, but then I feel like I'm falling into the trap and it's probably one of the people who has an obvious mole edit. Zed, I'm losing my mind. I don't know who I'm supposed to be going for right now.
Yeah, there's a number of possibilities. Both Jacob and Kazi had a bit of a rough run in the last couple episodes. But I'm still, my main suspect is still Greg. And I go back to my theory that if you're Greg, you've done a bunch of troublesome things, cost the team a lot of money, and now everybody else is so bad at it, you can just sit back and let them cause problems. Well, you can say, hey, I got $4,000 for our team in the train challenge.
Yeah. Do you think Cosmo barking while you're talking about Greg is a clue that Greg is the mole?
Oh, well, she was also barking while Jess was talking about Kazi and Jacob. So
okay.
So maybe we're subscribing to the dog that didn't bark theory.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, that would be, for me, that was Sandy for a minute until Sandy spoke up. That was really bad for Tom Cruise. That was really tough, Rob. That was hard.
I was furious when, I was a little bit on the fence of like when Dom went out. And then everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then when they do like production tries to bring him back into the game instantly, I was like, okay, I don't know if I love this, but I get it. I get it. All right. He's one of the stars of the show. You bring him back. Okay. And then it's like I felt like that they were kind of giving him like a layup of like, okay, ask everybody the questions. And then when this woman starts talking that I've never seen before in my life to say, actually, you know what? Nah, I don't. That he knows who he guessed, like, and that's going to give him an advantage here.
An unequivocal no, like a no that would not be moved at all, like a complete, absolutely not. There was just like no wiggle room whatsoever in her stance on this one.
Really, Sandy? Really?
Rob,
woman who's not even on the show.
Rob, when it comes to Sandy, you would say you're pissed.
I'm pissed. Yeah, I mean, I could, like, if Greg was gonna do this, or Joy, or like,
literally anybody who had been on the show,
anybody who was a character on the show, I would say, okay, this was earned. I get it, but this random woman just came out of nowhere.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a great arrival.
And maybe that's why she got no edit, because they hated her so much for doing this.
We were trying to cheat for Dom, and she blew it. She had integrity, Zed.
Yeah, it was brutal. I love this twist. I loved this idea. I thought this was really fun. I was like, they desperately need $10,000 and we want our friend back. Will is so sad as this whole thing is going down, and my heart broke for him a little bit.
Incredible.
Yeah, I hate the way it ended up, obviously, because Dom's my man. But I loved the mechanism in
Yeah.
the game.
Now,
Oh gosh.
Zed, you would never leave your dog in the car
God,
for
no.
15 minutes
With
the
no
way they
food.
left Dom in the car, right? With
It's
the
hot in
windows
here,
up.
and they didn't give me any food for these 15 minutes.
Jess,
I love it so
the 3 words that I walked away from my binge watching of The Mole that have been living rent free in my head ever since are Dom, without any sort of help from anybody other than Pranav, having to guess the city that is on the bumper sticker on the back, and him just shooting in the dark. Let's go, Melmore! Nothing, nada, zip.
Yeah, well, Melmore, as we discovered prior to recording, is not really, by any technical definition of the word, a city,
Yeah.
which honestly should include somebody in.
Oh my
Like
god.
barely a place.
But I had a few questions about this. Could
Mhm.
Dom have asked somebody to leave the building and go look at the bumper sticker on the back of the
Yeah,
car and tell him what
I
it
thought
said?
so. Right?
Yeah, but I think people would have to agree that that's something that they were willing to do. And it sounded like, I don't know, it sounded like Sandy very authoritatively put her foot down. And if you were, and then like other people were starting to like kind of nod along and be like, yeah, I'm also surprised that there is a new player here that we haven't seen yet on the show who is saying that Dom can't come back, but she's got a point. You know, Casey's on board with that quickly, Kasi as well.
I mean, if
so,
I'm
yeah.
the mole, I 100% do not want him coming back.
Right.
But if I'm not the mole, there is no downside to letting him come back, because here is somebody you know is definitely not the mole.
Yeah.
So you could definitely work with him.
But he knows who he guessed.
And
Yeah,
we couldn't
get him to tell
possibly
you
what he
ask him
guessed.
that.
Mhm.
Well, Sandy, it's a good thing you prevented Dom coming back in the game, because that would have prevented you from going out immediately.
That's karma.
That's
Is
karma.
what that is.
That's karma. That's the name of the car.
Production
that
was
he
not
was
like,
in.
hey, how do we get Sandy back in the game?
Oh my gosh.
But if I'm Will and I'm holding the walkie and Dom is like, yeah, I'm outside. I just need to see the bumper sticker on the back of the car. If I'm Will, I'm walking out that door. I don't care. I'm like, yeah, bro, I got you. Let me go look at it and I'll tell you.
But he has to live with all of these people and he has to work with
But
all
they
of these
can't
people.
vote him out.
Sure, they can't, but they can choose to like not share information with
But if
him,
he's got Dom back.
or if he's the mole, then he's not going to go out there. And maybe this is extremely sus then that Will doesn't just take the radio and go out there.
I think they must have told him that they weren't allowed to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, don't break our show, please.
Yeah, but why have a bumper sticker in the first place?
Yeah, couldn't they at least bring him a beer or something? So hot in that car, I bet.
Mhm. Or at least some carbonated apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, carbonated ACV would be fine. Why don't we rewind back to the start of episode 2 and let's work our way through some of these missions. We can talk some of them through. When we get to the end of this, we can talk through all of the players if there's anything that's left behind or any other moments that we may have missed. So a very, I think, an interesting choice, one that I'm still kind of like wrapping my head around whether or not I particularly like. Is that the eliminations are being saved for either the start of an episode or mid-episode, but we are not ending the episodes on eliminations. We haven't done that once through 5 episodes of the show. And Rob, I at least think that they made the right choice for the first episode, because I think if the first episode had ended and we found out that poor Osei was the first one out, I think that maybe all 4 of us would have walked.
Yeah, Osei was so much gold in the confessional.
That cut me deep, bro.
Yeah, in the first episode. I think Josh was he sitting on a detonator that we found out?
Is that why Jesse wasn't able to use the bathroom for 3 days, you think?
Yikes, why are you going to me with the bathroom question?
Because you missed our extensive conversation about it last week.
That was by design.
Yeah.
You only think I had another podcast. I just didn't want to get into it.
You want to talk about the clenched butt cheeks?
No. Yeah. Talk about blowing up the bathroom.
Almost never do.
Yeah. So it was sad. I was sad to lose Osei. That was tough. That was a tough. But I mean, I really love this cast. So they're all a bunch of weirdos. So
Mhm.
there've been
Well,
a couple of heartbreakers along the
And
way.
in addition to Sandy, then also the show has it's been a little bit of like a Australian Survivor situation where we're really doing like stars and scrubs of
Mhm.
who was the other woman's
Samara.
Samara also
Yes.
who went out, who were after the first episode there was like, yeah, there's two women, we don't really know who they are,
Right.
Sandy and Samara, and yeah, they're the next two boots.
Yeah, they gave us nothing for either of them in that first episode. I think they gave us a little bit for Samara. Sandy literally had nothing in the.
They're like, they're
in the
not
first
important,
episode.
don't worry about them.
Yeah, we'll just get rid of them quick.
They're lovely people, but you don't need to know who they are.
Yeah.
So he's the first one gone, and then immediately it's the road show, and we're moving on, which is great. It was that was very relieving for me, where it's like, okay, a lot of like the spirit of the original mole then is going to be intact if we're kind of in a roving situation. And we go to Brisbane, and we go to the most notorious jail in town, and we are going to be staging Jess a prison break, which we come to find out Dom has wanted to do ever since he watched The Shawshank Redemption. This has been on his bucket list, is a prison break.
Okay, Shawshank Redemption didn't make prison breaks seem very glamorous to me.
Yeah,
If
you
we
have to go
wanna
through a
talk
football
about-
field of shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to go back to that well or to that football field of excrement, but yeah, I nobody watches Shawshank Redemption is like, yeah, let me do that. But I
Apparently
think
Tom Cruise does.
they might have made him do his confessional over again after he said, I've wanted to do this ever since I saw the prison break in the Mole
Prison
season
Break.
1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I loved what the Schofield brothers did. I loved it when Wentworth Miller tattooed his entire body. I've always wanted to do that. Put the blueprints on my body.
He does have a lot of tattoos, Dom.
Yeah. What happens when you put them all together? It's a question that I have. I'd like to know. So we have to split everybody into these 3 teams, 3 different cell blocks, 3 different teams of people who are being put together, and they're being put together by the 2 designated masterminds, Casey and the aforementioned Dom. So his dreams of doing a prison break, Rob, he doesn't even get to do it. He's a mastermind.
You got to mastermind a prison break. Yeah.
I guess maybe that's better. I guess that's like sort of like the Danny Ocean position.
Yeah,
I don't
really.
know.
I mean, it's kind of like taking credit for whatever happened. In no way did they mastermind anything other than taking 10 minutes off the clock.
Yeah. Zed, there were a few fishy moments here in the jailbreak. I thought a lot of people who couldn't see the key.
Speaking as a short person, depending on how high up that peephole is, you're not at the right angle to see the floor. Samara, on the other hand, with like her full head out the door, being like, no, it's just a hair tie.
Yeah. The hair
More
tie.
suspicious, even though obviously it's not her.
Yes. I think that Cassie or Joy should have been able to see Cassie's key, if I have this right, Jess. So she's still in the game, and she had, I think, a pretty direct line of sight on Cassie's key outside of Cassie's door. So I have that written down as part of Joy's just like brazen moleness, if she is indeed the mole.
I think Joy cannot possibly be the mole because she's just really, really not good at the game.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting that Joy then says she suspects Cassie because Cassie couldn't see her own key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but I
I
feel
had
like
detailed notes about. I had
They
very
were
detailed
all
notes.
bad at this
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
just,
they
I
were
feel
all
like
very bad.
so many times that Joy said things in the confessional. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense what she's saying.
Mhm.
Like, is this just like how she's trying to explain the sus behavior?
She's
Yeah.
on a totally different show from everybody else. And I would love to see the show that she's on because it might not suffer from some of the same pacing issues that this one does, but I do think like Planet Joy is its own special place.
I mean, it sounds like a joyful world. I wouldn't mind living on Planet Joy.
Joyride.
Yeah, Joyride indeed. Joy break. So one of the things that happens, there's a couple of different opportunities to basically buy advantages or to like to sell advantages as well. Like Double Down Dom, as he's called in this moment, he and Casey, they can take 10 minutes off the clock to double the pot from $10,000 to $20,000. And this feels like a no-brainer move. It's like what's 10 minutes, really in the grand scheme of this. It ends up being kind of tight ultimately, but they're able to they lose 10 minutes and double the pot, but for $5,000 they're able to buy 5 minutes. Zed, this ends up feeling like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think they get $10,000 more for they sell 10 minutes for $10,000 essentially, and then buy back 5 of those minutes for $5,000. So that's like a surprisingly even trade rather than there being an inflated cost to get that time back.
Rob, that's like getting a dragon for just one eye when it's worth
one eye.
$1,000.
That's a great deal. So I was a little confused about like the budget here, they're basically like running out of time. They've doubled it. They took 10 minutes off, and it's like, okay, well, for $5,000, we'll give you 5 more minutes. And it seemed like that there was like, I don't know, should we do it? Should we do it? Like, there was like 10 seconds left. Yes, do it. Buy more time. But I wasn't sure, like, did the money that they spent like $1,000 for a clue, but was that money coming out of the prize money, or was that money coming out of the pot? Because I thought it would be a little bit more interesting of like, hey, like I'll sell you a clue, but that money's not coming out of the prize. That's coming out of the money you already have. And so, yeah, you might spend this money on a clue and then also still miss out and not make any money on this task.
Yeah, I mean, so they end up spending the $5,000 for the additional 5 minutes, plus there's $1,000 that they spend for a clue. So they do end up winning just 14,000. So ultimately, the money is coming out of the prize. So like that's what they're wagering. I don't disagree. I think if they're betting from their own pot, but at a certain point, the further we progress into the season, it would kind of render the gameplay impossible.
Negative money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They owe money.
Yeah. I think for me, because I'd made my mole prediction, the last minute adjustment from Sandy to Casey. Casey is one of the designated masterminds in this competition. Jess, is Casey somebody who you have your eye on as a possible mole suspect?
We don't get enough Casey for me to feel like she's...
Is that not a suspicious thing?
I mean, the mole going underground, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like she's not giving us enough to work with. I'm not seeing enough from her. I could make the case for every time she was offered something, she took it, and to the detriment of the pot.
Yeah.
But that's about the only mole-ish thing we see her do on this task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think it's enough. Like, she's one of the least suspicious people to me. In fact, I would say I'm going to be not surprised if she is the next person eliminated.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. It feels like either she's the mole or she's kind of getting like the Sandy Samara treatment and is just like small edit, goes home soon.
I feel like she's a little higher on the suspect list for me. Like I thought a couple times that they were sort of like painting her as like, oh, it can't possibly be her, which was making me think it could be her. Alicia in the chat says she spends a lot of money.
Casey does. Yeah. Casey was all about getting like the, getting the clue and getting, the extra time. I don't remember what her stance was on losing 10 minutes and doubling the pot. I wish that I had the recall on that. If anyone in the chat does have that, of like how was she like resistant to that? Because I feel like that felt like Dom would be like, oh yeah, let's double this. No,
he
problem.
was double down Dom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's interesting.
She was reticent to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's the jailbreak. Then we get to the push the button challenge, which is basically the scenario we're in, Jess. It's like the Dark Knight, right? The Joker has 2 boats filled with people. One is a bunch of convicts and one is a bunch of like upper class Gothamites. And you both have a detonator, and only one of you will survive. And who's going to blow the other boat up first? And one of the boats, I believe it's Team 31, Section 31. They're like, oh, well, obviously we just want the money in the pot. And we assume that that's going to be it for Section 45. Section 45 could not be more eager to detonate this device and send Section 31 straight to hell. That is like, no problem at all.
I mean, that's what they're banking on. They want that to be the case. They want them to be the upper class twits to the convicts of the good and virtuous convicts. As I recall, that is what happened in The Dark Knight.
Mhm.
He says, give it to me and let me make the decision you should have made minutes ago. And he gives him the thing and he just throws it out the window.
Yep. It's been a
But-
minute since I've seen that.
Iconic.
Yeah, I
Iconic
did think
behavior.
it was interesting. They told them, okay, you're gonna go out and have a night out, because you know how much they do that on the mall. It's like the challenge.
Dark
I mean, they
Night
do that on the mole
Yeah.
more than others.
Yes. In fact, I've been a
Um,
little disappointed at how uninebriated this cast has been. Yeah.
Jess, I also noticed there's a lot of talk in the damn van. Also, a lot of driving around.
They
and-
100% ripped that off tough as nails.
Yeah. But I kind of thought it was interesting that you kind of like, I felt like that the groups kind of like self-selected into the car, where I kind of feel like that sort of like some of the more like virtuous players like were together, like the Dom and Will, Jacob. Like I felt like that Joy also seemed like she was like all about like honor and integrity. And then the other group I think had like more of like the scoundrels, led by Greg and Pranav and Avery, and
Casey,
Yes.
and then was Samara the last one in that group?
I believe Avery, Greg, Samara, Pranav, and Casey.
I think
Sector
also
45.
frickin' Sandy I think was still in the game at that point.
Sandy, I believe is with Dom, Jacob, Joy, and Will and Cassie. I may have this wrong. There's Greg's whole deal, Zed, of like, well, I'm not gonna blow you up.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
they
me. I'm
pick up
not
on
doing
that.
it. Yeah.
Dom or Greg is using a lot of words like I and
Mhm.
avoiding using words like we. So it is very obvious that he is lying.
Mhm.
And I would like to talk to each member of your team on this phone right now. And this is the most suspicious thing that Casey does in these 5 episodes, I think, is she goes to get them and never comes back.
And like it's a simple
And
request.
we don't see what happens.
Yeah, it's a simple
and Pranav's
request
like
of like
snapping down the hallway.
yeah. It's like I want to hear all of you say hi at once.
Right,
Well,
as you're all sitting in the room. Yeah.
right.
At what point do you start trying to imitate your teammates' voices?
Yeah. Hi. Hey. Hello. Hi. Hey. That was all me.
I mean, no one knows what
Yeah.
Samara sounds like anyway. So
And we wish we didn't know what Sandy sounded like. Could I just say about Greg though? I just want to write a quick love letter to Greg.
Exquisite.
Greg, I love Greg so much. I always love this person on reality TV. He is chewing up the scenery. He is just so slimy and so wonderful. And I just he's such a great narrator, going back from like the first episode when he talked about the type of people that would be in all the different challenges. So I just I need him to stay until the end of the show.
Until the end of time, perhaps even. It feels I feel like he's gonna be hanging around here for a minute, Jess. What do you think?
He's got Jim season 1 upside.
Yes.
I think I would not be surprised to see Greg go all the way.
Yes. I could for sure see it. I have a vision of a future of a Greg deep dive here in this very podcast.
Oh,
feed.
how fun would that be?
We're gonna manifest this. We're gonna will this into existence. We could even will a Will deep dive. That would be good too. He's got a lot to say.
We could host a cast reunion. I'd be
Mhm.
down
Yeah.
for that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Netflix. What's up?
We'll see if Sandy's invited. We'll ask Dom. Dom gets to decide.
Yeah, I
Dom,
think that's
Dom
only
gets
right.
the one vote. Is
I
Sandy
think-
invited?
I think that's right. I think that's only fair. So episode 2, it ends with everybody like rushing to push the button is sort of the big cliffhanger. I don't know. Do we feel like, Zed, did the first team just screw up by not going to push the button at all? Like, you gotta be prepared.
Yeah, I guess you start. She says you can't do anything, but what she actually means is you can't push the button. You could do all of the things so that you are prepared to push the button, and then never push it until you get an inkling that the other group is preparing to push the button. So perhaps they were all a little too earnest on that side of saying, no, we are literally going to just sit here and talk on the phone every 10 minutes. But, then they got to it when they had to get to it.
Yeah.
Although nobody really got anywhere until Alex Wagner says the clue is in the table. And
the files are in the computer.
The table.
That's right. Yeah. Just open up the damn picture. Just open it up. There's notes in there. It'll tell you what to do. She really wanted somebody to figure that out. I mean, it's such a big moment that I guess at a certain point you kind of just got to let them. You got to walk them right up to the button, I think. So this is where Samara goes. She gets knocked out at this point in time. The next day, we're just on our way to the Colby Classic Great Barrier Reef, hopefully not stealing any coral with a Q, Rob. It's a crime with a Q as well, I believe. And I didn't love that none of the button fallout was addressed. I felt like we just kind of like yada past the fact that half of the cast behaved really poorly the night before. Like, that was really treacherous and mean. I felt like there was no fallout from that at all. What we do get instead is like a little bit more of this developing alliance between Avery and Pranav, and this idea of like maybe it makes some sense to draw some suspicion intentionally as a strategy for the mole to blend in a little bit more and maybe like draw some of that heat to basically like go and like draw the aggro, Zed, to effectively be tanking for the party to some degree. I kind of felt like I don't know, Jess, do you feel like Pranav and Avery having this conversation, then so much of this being filtered through Avery, you would think that the suspicion would be on Avery, but this for me felt like kind of suspicious for Pranav.
I mean, it did. I think the only reason we're getting this filtered through Avery, and again, this is just because I've seen, lifetime 10,000 hours of reality television, meaning I'm a Malcolm Gladwell expert on this stuff.
Right.
It really feels to me like Avery's probably the one going a little bit farther in the game, so we're getting the story filtered through her. I didn't clock Pranav as being like more moley in this instance.
How are you feeling about Pranav at this point in it, Rob? You feel like pretty on the level, or?
Yeah, I feel like pretty on the level. I mean, I don't know, like, what is like our biggest smoking gun for Pranav? That did he misrepresent like some of the currency amounts? But I feel like that. I mean, he's the one that spotted the dinghy from the helicopter when other people were missing it. So.
Nothing about like this one, the reef challenge you could put at his feet at all.
No, I don't think so. I feel pretty good about Pranav. And as far as Avery goes, that I kind of feel like that she wasn't acting moley. Then after this conversation with Pranav, then I feel like she just like starts acting very moley. But I think we have to remember that she said she was going to do the things. So it's interesting that they have like suspicions about each other, but I kind of feel like I don't think Avery is the mole either.
Yeah, Zed, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Rob. I think the only thing remotely suspicious that we saw from Pranav this whole time was that in the bank heist, their conversion of the money was so off, but he was relying on information from 3 other people that may or may not have been correct. Right. So that's not necessarily his fault.
Right.
Avery getting put on the team of people running is a whole other thing. But I don't know that that's necessarily her fault either.
Well, she
my
does get a choice. She's like, yeah, I'll go wherever. If she knows that she can't run 7 miles in an hour, maybe don't go on the running
I mean,
team.
maybe we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but why did they decide to have 3 people run instead of putting a third person in the car?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the part that's confusing to me. Why make
Well,
more people run than you have to?
I mean, I'm not the one who's the amazing race expert on the panel, but I do believe the situation in that car can get pretty tight with the camera person and the boom mic
Yeah.
operator.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
nowhere in the rules did it say you must have 3 people run 7 miles.
Mhm.
And I don't know how they're setting the cars up because, we do not have a sound person and a cameraman in the damn vans.
Mhm.
We could be doing the dashboard cam situation here.
Yeah, they have, they've got the cars on lease,
Yeah.
Jessica Lease.
Mhm.
They're able to mic them up, I think, instead of like a taxi cab that you really need the people to be running around for. It's a good point. Pretty sus. And if you're saying, Jess, that there's no chance of Joy being the mole, then you would maybe have to look at the other person in that vehicle as kind of suspicious.
That is one reason that he
Yeah.
is very
High on the
high on
list.
my list of mole candidates
Yeah.
because I think, and again, this is using Joy as kind of your filter through which to do your mole bidding. She had she's the one that has the idea to turn the car around.
Joy
and go
loves
back.
Molly bidding. She will bid
Yeah.
$25,000 on it.
It's almost like you have a vice mole.
Uh-huh.
Like you don't even have to, you can just set her
That
loose.
sounds like a Star Wars Imperial title.
Mhm.
Grand Vice Mole.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why I'm staying strong on thinking Greg is the mole. And he's like, Joy's going to cost us all the money. So I can get a couple of these bags here on this train and not worry about it because other
Yeah.
people are going to mess stuff up. And then suspicion won't be on me because I accomplished something.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back. Let's stick with the barrier reef for a little bit because we get this moral dilemma that's really fun. Here's the dossiers on everybody in the game. Here's
Mhm.
everybody in the game. You can look at it. If no one looks, if the whole cast, Rob,
Yes.
chooses not to look, you'll add $10,000 to the pot. How do you not look at this point in the immediate wake of Buttongate? You have to know that at the very least one person is going to look. And I think it is a reasonable assumption if I'm playing this game that everybody is going to look. So I'm not going to be the one who doesn't look.
Yeah, I think that it was definitely a sure thing. People were going to look. I'm surprised. I guess it was only 2. It was only Greg and Avery that were the people that did it.
That we know of anyway.
Yeah, that we know of. I did think it was interesting that they co-opted knowledge is power. Josh, that's a thing that happens on Survivor now.
I remember from 41,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, but it didn't mean that you got to steal somebody else's advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that I really hate with the moral dilemma is when we return to it and we get back to it on the other side and it's revealed that the people who didn't look at the dossiers, they have the chance to bid from the pot on an exemption. And if they get it right, if they accurately predict who looked at the dossier, and if they do it with the highest bid, they will be exempt. And obviously, like the big takeaway from this is what Joy does, where she bank heists the entire crew and steals all this money for her exemption. But I kind of thought that it was a little bit shitty that they showed like the video footage of Greg in that moment. I don't know. I felt
Why
like
nobody was mad at him?
I guess no one's
They
ultimately
were too
mad
busy
at
being
him.
mad at Joy.
Just felt like a
And
little
didn't
bit of like a
Avery
privacy
also look?
violation.
And we didn't even talk about that at all.
Yeah, she did look. Avery looked.
Mhm.
Avery looked.
But that was irrelevant, so she got to keep
Yeah.
that to herself.
No, and she's the person who's clapping back against Joy the most ferociously. She's like ripping into Joy once Joy steals $25,000 from everybody in the game.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
at this juncture, I have to ask a question. And this relates to Joy, but it relates to at least one other member of the cast that I feel like might be motivated by this. But it's like when you are cast on a Netflix reality show, how much social media clout do you think you can get from winning that show? And could that be a primary motivator for someone like Joy, who is just showing herself as wanting to get further in the game at literally any cost? Is she just trying to win the game so she can have the trophy so she can go on to ... profit?
So I will say that depends on the show. I think on Netflix, some of the cast of Too Hot to Handle has done very well on Netflix following their appearances on the show.
Assuming you're not going to just post thirst traps all the time.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Joy's Instagram. Not a lot of mole. She appears to really be a pilot. She's a lot of fitness, strength videos. So I don't think she's an influencer.
Not yet, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Not yet.
Angling to jack up that cameo rate.
Okay.
She doesn't care about the money. She just cares about the title. She wants to be the sole survivor.
Yeah. I think that's not bad. I think that could be interesting. Joy bids $25,000 on her exemption bet, and like very obviously bets on the absolute right person to bet on. Like, you know, it is like a fair assumption that probably most of these people have looked at the dossier, but you can guarantee Greg looked at it.
It was such a slam dunk.
It's a slam dunk. Shatters the backboard, and it's going to cost $25,000 to repair it.
Yeah.
This is one of
they
the most
haven't even had a challenge worth that much money yet.
This is one of the most insane things I've seen on a reality show that I can remember in quite some time. It's like, yeah, let me just blow the entire pot on, you know, making sure that I'm around.
Being immune for one round.
Yeah.
You know, the prize round on Taskmaster for the first week of the new season was bring in the most jaw-dropping thing. And this, I think, is the most jaw-dropping thing I have ever seen.
It's insanity.
I can't believe it.
You know, part of me is like, I can't believe that this wasn't a cliffhanger into week 2. You know, I really would have thought that maybe I would have spent the entire week freaking out. Did Joy get this right? Is she going to lose $25,000 for the people? And instead, it's just sort of like a mid first week cliffhanger.
Honestly, Josh, I think that would have been a less exciting cliffhanger than the one they actually landed on.
Because she ends, like, is she going to do it again?
Yeah, she definitely picked Greg. Like, there's no doubt that she picked anybody else but Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I think you do end up being left with like, oh god, is she gonna do it again? Oh my gosh. So maybe you kind of like get it's like you're doubling the pot there, like, you know, you're ultimately gonna just get another big Joy moment. Jess, was this I'm not out, is this me being hyperbolic that this is just like one of the craziest things to happen, at least in the mole that I can remember, of the two that I've seen before this?
It's definitely up there. This was, I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about past seasons.
You're allowed. Come on.
Don't tell me about 3 and 4.
I'm not going to tell you who the mole was ever, but it did feel to me a little bit like Elavia taking the bribe to leave the game.
Right.
Like it was on that level of like intenseness.
Yeah. It's like, I'll just take the money and go.
But even more shocking. Same level of intense, and yet just like unthinkable.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of I'll take the money and go, it's I'll take all of your money and stay.
And do nothing with
and
the
do
money.
Nothing with it, but survive one day more. One more day.
Yeah.
Insert music number here. Just absolutely bananas. It was my favorite thing that's happened on this show so far. And I don't know that it's particularly close.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, as a production, like, do you care if the players are playing for no money? Like, it's almost like, you know, we've in the seasons of Too Hot to Handle that we've talked about. Not to keep bringing this back to Too Hot to Handle. Like, sometimes that they're so out of control, they like lose all the money. And it's like, all right, you're playing for a prize pool now of $200 split between 9 people.
Yeah.
And it's like,
now single solitary Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, but you know who does care?
Yeah.
You know who does care is like the host in, you know, the air freshener and Too Hot to Handle cares, and Alex Wagner cares, because it's clearly like they're on the same level. Because I think everybody, including Joy, is just banking on the fact that if they gamble away all of the money, they'll just come out with a way. The air freshener is always like at the end, like, if you guys spend the night together and you don't hook up, then we will give everybody $1 million. And then they do it, and everybody has enough money. So I think the stakes, everybody's banking on the stakes going up.
They've really been trying, I think, since Joy destroyed the pot.
Yes, they are trying.
They've had the opportunity of do nothing and people give you money.
Right. Well, maybe Joy is the smartest out of anybody. She's like, hey, I'm going to take an exemption whenever I can get one. I know this show is going to put more money back in the pot. They're not going to make it like the pot is 69 cents by the end of the season.
Nice.
So they're gonna put like $50,000 for a task up for grabs next time.
I mean, she's seen Too Hot to Handle for sure. She may not have seen The Mole, but she's definitely seen Too Hot to Handle.
Oh gosh. So much excitement here that we didn't even really kind of close the loop on the treasure chest mission. And the only other thing that I wanted to say about that was, what was Greg doing wearing the life jacket like a diaper?
That's also like pretty. People keep making inexplicable decisions on this show. I do not understand. He's on the boat yelling at people to shut up.
Yeah, that when I was howling when he yelled at somebody about how, like, don't talk to them, like they don't need to be wasting their breath talking to you when they come up.
Yes.
I know how to scuba dive. I'm gonna stand on this boat the whole time.
Yeah. Let me
I wear a diaper life
Let me
jacket.
get my safety flotation diaper out and save the day.
And then drop the oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Greg.
So just spectacular behavior from Greg.
I mean, my point in favor of Will not being the mole is I don't feel like any real mole would bleed for the job.
Well, then I love that.
He was so mad.
Yeah, piling on Will that he had to come out of the water, and then it's like, oh, the thing about Will, like he's very careless, and then when Greg and Will were getting into it, and Will was like, oh, can't you see it? It's like, well, like, you can't go in the water because you're reckless. You can't do it.
He said in his flotation diaper.
You're too reckless. You can't not allowed to go in the water anymore.
The plane team is like, why is it Will in the water? And he's like, they won't let me.
Yeah.
He's so upset.
He can't get back in the water.
This poor guy.
Sharks would come.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. Yeah, we can't bring out the sharks yet. It's too early in the season for a shark attack. That might come later. Anyway, so we'll go to the bank heist now, unless anyone has anything else on the moral dilemma or the money, the treasure chest deep diving. Obviously, another big to do there is Avery sabotaging and dropping stuff pretty obviously. She is the one who goes in on Joy so hard. She's like, after Joy, she is in. She's like, if you're the mole, well played. If not, I have lost all of my respect for you. She's like going in on Joy. And I do think it's interesting that this comes after she is the only other person we have confirmed to have looked at the dossier. I think that's interesting.
I did find it a little silly that they made Alex ask each of them as if she didn't already know the answer, and we had to watch her ask all of them. I was like, she knows, and we're going to find out. So why are we doing this charade beforehand?
Can we stop down and talk a little bit? How's Alex doing?
I'm liking Alex quite a bit. I think she's good. I think she's fun. I think she's figuring it out. And I like that she's like figuring it out on the job, and they're letting us know that she's figuring it out on the job. Like in the button pushing one, she's like, oh, that was the best line delivery we've had so far. Like, I like that. I think that she's endearing. I really like Alex quite a bit.
I think
Yeah.
we need more of those moments because
Yes.
when she's doing the job, which is a lot of like talking over speakers instead of like sitting at the dinner table with the players, which I miss.
Yeah, that was
She's
one thing.
talking
Yeah,
like
and
this.
Andy Coops was great at just like hanging out.
Yeah.
She's not hanging out. They're not letting her hang out that much. But I don't really feel like anybody's getting a chance to hang out that much.
She's just
She's
getting these interstitials, like
Yeah.
in the Warriors.
and emphasizing the importance of every word
Mhm.
of the bank heist, of the mail run, of the Great Barrier Reef. And maybe it's because I listen to podcasts faster, but like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
She's got some Karina Longworth energy.
Yeah.
Don't know if you listen to You Must Remember This, but the same kind of over enunciation.
I guess I haven't noticed because I've been watching on 1.5 on the Netflix.
Mhm.
It's like how
I
I listen to my
watched it.
podcast anyway.
Maybe that would feel more normal to me then.
Yeah, it's like I didn't pick up on any of that. She's talking at a normal podcast speed for me.
Mhm.
Rob, are you in or out on Alex Wagner so far?
Yeah, I like that she like laughs at her own jokes.
Mhm.
So that's good.
Relatable.
Relatable. Yeah. That I don't know why she stuck with like a very like old school like high school like PA announcer microphone that she has to talk into. Like I feel like they could update that. But it's okay.
Yeah. I think a note that I have generally is let the people hang out more. Let us
Yeah.
hang out with the people hanging out. And let Alex hang out with the people hanging out and let us hang out with her hanging out with the people hanging out.
She's very nice to everybody when they leave. Even when like Samara was like, I just hope that I made my mark on the game. She's like, oh yeah, you definitely did. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what was your name again?
Sandy? Were you
No,
Sandy?
she's
Yeah.
going out in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Anderson Cooper was always like a really great person to lean on in these moments too. Like he was always like, yeah, who did he say, Zed, that he was like, we'll hang out in New York at when this is done.
Yes.
Forget.
With Al, I think.
Yeah,
They were gonna go to a Yankee game together or something.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So
A Mets
I
game,
do.
excuse me.
I do
Yes.
want
Oh my God.
Alex to start demonstrating some favoritism. I think would not be so bad.
I also
you
just
know.
Who do
want
you-
him to. I want her to give the players a bit of a hard time, the
Mhm.
way that Anderson would. He'd stand around and be like, "Oh yeah, I picked this town because it has lots of stairs. I wanted
Mhm.
you to have as many stairs as possible.
Yeah.
You might want to hurry up. I don't know.
I want her to straight up hate somebody. I
Mhm.
want her to just like, she doesn't need to have a favorite, but if she had a clear least favorite,
Yeah. After the money heist, she just turns to Joy. She's like, "You're the worst person I've ever met in my entire life. Do you understand what you've just done? You may have bankrupted. You've bankrupted the pot. You may have bankrupted the show. Do you understand that this is my chance? I have a Netflix show. You're gonna ruin this for me, Joy."
I mean, didn't Jeff Probst kind of do that sort of thing when people would, like, I believe, yelling at certain people in their voting confessionals?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but also like Jeff, like as like people have said on certain occasions that Jeff has like his favorites and then doesn't
Yeah.
like it if they
Yeah,
get
if
voted
he's-
out.
If he's out here on The Mole on Netflix, he's definitely calling out Boston Pranav. Like he's definitely given that treatment.
He's definitely only talking to Will.
Sure.
At this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's calling him Richardson. Yeah.
Yes.
This is his last name, according to Wikipedia. Okay, so Dom gets knocked out here. Pranav gets the line, "The one person who cared about the pot the most is gone, and the one who took it all away is exempt." Poetic in the worst way possible. There's no love lost between everybody and Joy at this point in time. So after this, Alex is telling Dom, "Don't worry, your mom's gonna be really proud of you, Dom. You did her proud here."
As long as his mom isn't like a fan of like strategy games, I think she'd be very proud.
Yeah, she is. And then we go to the mining town of Ravenswood, famously rich in gold. And everyone is drinking at the
gold.
bar. I
Yeah.
love gold. I love Ravenswood. Yeah, that's where Goldmember is from, I believe.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. And I don't know what's going on. It's late on Mole Monday. Mole Monday.
Mhm. Gold
Yeah,
Monday.
here we are, Mole Monday. Have you ever tuned in to a Mole Monday here? Ooh, Australia.
Yeah.
Around
I'm
the
saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Indeed.
Hey, over 400 people are tuned in live.
No
to,
way.
yeah.
Watching
Don't
us
Tell
feel
me
like
that.
way
Now
too
I'm
many.
nervous.
On a
No,
Mole
I'm
Monday.
fine. I love
Yeah,
a crowd.
Yeah.
Double it for $10,000. Let's get 800 of you in here. I'll spend $10 if 200 of you leave right now.
No. How could you?
I'll spend all of the advertising money we got on the YouTube.
Mhm.
Every last cent. Just to
Yeah.
stay in the chair.
People are clamoring for mole
Mhm.
coverage.
Yeah. Well, we got you. We're doing it. It happened. Dom rolls into town in the back of the car. And the show is just like, please let him back on the show. And Sandy says, no, absolutely not. No chance.
Nope.
No.
And they couldn't they just skip her and let him
Eulogy
answer
for
some
Dom.
other questions.
Nope.
Yeah.
No
They
way.
really let her derail this.
I was so hoping then he was going to get back in on the guess, and then he had it down to 50-50 chance he's going to walk in. Really? Really,
Oh.
Sandy? How
Oh,
great would that have been?
Let's go, Melmore.
incredible, heartbreaking television.
Oh. It's so
Mhm.
good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
This was a hard question also that he wants to know. It's like, okay, Sandy, what is your favorite town?
Uh-huh.
I mean, these must have been questions they answered on their like player questionnaires. You know,
yeah.
which survivor player are you going to play
Mhm.
like situations?
Do they have the sniper on them, Zed, who's like forcing them to tell the truth in this moment over the radio?
That's a good point
So,
too. What if you
know,
lie?
Yeah.
But then, he goes, that's not on my list.
yeah.
You're like, oh shoot. What was the first concert I went to? A security question.
Mhm.
Right.
My middle school was on what street?
Yeah, I don't think I would be giving honest answers to any of this to the production too, because like you never know when this might be one of my security questions.
Mhm.
I don't want to give away anything from season 2 of The Mole, but there's 100% a contestant on season 2 of The Mole that just gave total bullshit answers to everything on the quiz, everything they asked him ahead of time.
Mm.
I didn't know
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a behind the scenes tidbit I picked up from my
Mm.
research.
From reading a certain
Yeah.
book.
Yes.
So-
that book.
Would the mole know what question they were going to be asked so that they could avoid potentially giving an answer that was not on the list and exposing themselves?
Probably, yeah. Like we're gonna wheel Dom back we're gonna drive him in a limo to Ravenswood. We're gonna
Mhm.
park the limo. Sorry, it's like a town car. We're gonna park the town
More
car
of a town car.
outside of the bar.
Mhm.
He's gonna be baking inside of it. He's gonna be so hot. And you're gonna have no refreshments for him. None of those hard strawberry candies I've been telling you about.
Mhm.
And he's gonna have a whole list of questions, and these are the questions that he's gonna be asking you if you want to just like be totally prepared for it. And this is the answer that we have on record for you. And the mole's like,
And-
okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. This is not one of those fancy Ubers that's got the water bottles in the backseat.
No.
No, he did not get one of those elite like
The
lift
XL?
cards. Yeah, the XL.
And they go right from toasting him and what a great guy he was, and we're gonna miss him so much.
Chef's
to
kiss.
he's being handed to you on a silver platter of you can absolutely get him back with $10,000, which is 3 times what's
Yeah.
in the pot right now.
Mhm.
And they're like, no, because he knows that one person isn't
Yeah.
the mole. Okay, yeah, but you all know he's not the mole.
And he's not good at this.
Oh yeah, Cassie's like, yeah, he's not a fierce competitor, or he would still be here.
He just got
Mhm.
voted out. Yeah, he just
Yeah.
got eliminated.
Yeah. The tide turned so quick from we love Dom to like, yeah, no, he's
Couldn't
gone.
possibly.
See you
Yeah.
never.
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't know that, like, he was like next door, maybe coming back in. Otherwise,
Mhm.
You know, I didn't know he
I
was
mean,
around.
How can we miss him if he won't go away?
Yeah. You know, it kind of like cheapened the toast. You know, we just did the toast. Can't like undo the toast.
It's true.
So yes, the group consensus ultimately. Worth noting, Casey is on board with Sandy. I believe Kasi is on board with Sandy ultimately as well. Jacob, someone high on Jess's list, ultimately is down with Dom leaving the game here too. So a few people, just let's get them a little bit on the record. Okay, so now we do the bank heist. Is this, Rob, a missed opportunity from Netflix to call this Money Heist?
I don't know. With
Money Heist Australia?
Money Heist call in Australia. Yeah, that would have been good.
You know, they've got like a franchise that they want to be selling here. You know, this is good. This is like very natural cross promotion. So easy.
Yep.
So this one is there's going to be two teams. There's the cash team, and then there's the gold team. One team.
Who are the members?
One team. The gold members are, I believe, Will, Casey, Joy, and Greg. Unless it's Kasi's.
Kasi's the caller for the gold.
Kasi and Pranav are up in the security room with all the cameras.
Yes, they're the Barbara Gordons watching the Batman go to work. The gold team, I believe that Will's like this. They have to go through lasers, freaking sharks with lasers on their heads.
Yep.
Greg loves lasers because he gets to do yoga.
Yeah, he did dance, he did gym, Pilates.
When he went through all the yoga poses to get through the laser beams, that was so
Cobra.
great.
Rolling my eyes so hard.
He's going to the club at the Jersey Shore, apparently.
I love lasers. I want a t-shirt that says I love lasers.
I love lasers.
I love lasers. They get through the lasers in 10 minutes. Will says this is like, he's like, I'm being like Tom Cruise right now. And first of all, how dare you? Dom just left. You can't just take that from Dom immediately. And also, how dare you? That's Catherine Zeta-Jones you're impersonating right now. This is entrapment, not Mission Impossible. And let's just be very clear about this. I watched it pretty recently.
Let the record show. Yeah.
It was a great movie. Incredible. Absolutely amazing. So this gets horribly bungled by the gold team, Jess. That Kasi just like, she completely misses El Dorado, K Midas, who I believe their names are even highlighted in gold.
Yeah, G-Locks.
Were they actually highlighted in gold on the pad, or is that like an editing effect?
I think they were actually. It looked like they were drawn in
For
different
these
inks.
bozos, I hope that they put it in gold. They
were circled.
G-Locks at least specifically looked like it was yellow.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other ones.
I think El Dorado was not. It was in all caps, though.
Yeah.
And Midas looked normal.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Dorado was in all caps, and Locks was in all caps and gold.
I don't know if you all saw this one, that next to K Midas, there was an arrow pointing to it. And then if you follow the arrow down to the bottom of the page, it was Alex Wagner Chicken Scratch being like, this one has gold in it. Tell them.
Yeah.
This is something I don't love in the editing, is that they're showing this to us now. And so we know already that it's being missed as it's happening. That just makes me actively frustrated rather than it being revealed later that Kasi had the answers essentially and didn't pick up on them or chose not to share them.
If we come to find out that she's the mole or something like that, right? Like that becomes, we get to see that recut where she's like now looking at the camera, Jim Halpert style, So I don't know. I don't mind being actively frustrated because these are actively frustrating people.
So I feel like we haven't talked a lot about Kasi in terms of being a mole candidate. How high or low are we on Kasi as potentially the mole?
You are invested in this, Rob, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that Kasi was your mole.
Was that I mean, I don't feel like crazy like mole vibes off of her, but I do feel like that she had a few different things that were sus. I mean, this the going back to the train, or I'm sorry, we haven't talked about the train
Yeah.
that's coming up. But I thought, and also she also missed the dinghy also from, like, we saw, like, Avery was talking about how actively trying to look suspicious, but the person that was behind her on that same side of the plane was also Kasi. So I do think that you could make an argument that Kasi is a strong contender for the mole also.
Yeah. Jess, is she on your list?
She's top 2 for me.
Wow.
I think it's Jacob or Kasi.
Whoa.
Yeah. Boy, that showdown after the dessert.
Mm-hmm.
Too spicy for you?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
you had this, and then you had Kasi screwing up a list of like 3 pages of names. And
That she had
like,
an hour to look at.
yeah,
She could have read every single one out loud, even just to herself.
yeah,
Yeah. And we're getting nothing from her in confessional being like, I want people to think I'm the mole, you know? So, like, either she's the mole or that was like an authentic screw up. And that is a hell of an authentic screw up to have an hour with that list and not connect any dots.
I think Midas is the one that I feel like is the worst of the three.
Of the in terms of the clue?
Yeah, like if you were gonna read those, like I'm not sure necessarily I would have put together like El Dorado, but I think I would have read all the clues. And I feel like that Midas touch turns things to gold. Like I think I even G locks, like locks might have like got my attention because they actually were unlocking things.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on the G, but I picked up on the locks part. And I was like, yeah, you're trying to unlock all these things with keys. They also had d'or, which I think is French for like of gold. Dorado I picked up on as being gold. I was like, yeah, there's got to be something in the names. You have all these names for a reason.
Yeah. I would like to think that maybe one of us would have picked up on the fact that some of these names were written in gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Try one of the golden ones. Maybe. It's possible. There's a gold behind one of them.
I mean, she effectively did nothing for this hour, right? She was just there.
yeah. Every so often she'd get on the mic and she'd be like,
Great
I don't
night.
know what it is.
Yeah. Just got to sit.
Yeah.
You know, be alone with your thoughts for a little
I
while.
don't know,
There's
just
cameras
keep trying
rolling all
more
the time.
keys, right?
Yeah. Now, how did she get into that position? Was this one of them they had to select people for
Yes.
this?
Pick
Critical
your
thinkers.
Your two best critical thinkers.
Mhm.
Yes. And Will was very outspoken about wanting to separate Pranav and Avery because he's like, if one of these two are really tight, I didn't want them to be on both of them be the critical thinkers. He was the one who really pushed for Kasi.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You fool.
Yeah.
Will takes the lead on splitting up the teams pretty often.
Mhm.
And people let him.
Yeah.
So
And is he good at the game?
I think he cares a lot about the game. Is he good at it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
He can run.
There was
Not as well
a
as
point
Pranav.
where Dom, I think Dom is the one that said this, but I think that Will subscribes to this also, where talking about Joy, where he said that she's not here for the right reasons. Like, and like what is the right reasons to being on, like, you hate moles so much that you are here for like just make sure the mole doesn't strike again.
That's our first clue that he auditioned for a different show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is this the episode where Jacob says, I hate these people so much?
No, I think that's after the C4 when he gets blown off the table. Yeah, it's like, damn it.
So
I hate these
frustrated.
people. I hate these people so much. So yeah, there's the cash team and there's all the different denominations. I would have loved to have like donated some of my Fiji change to this effort. I was like, oh, I could help. Like, I just reach through the screen.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're not able to get this. The cash they screw up as well. After they have some stiff drinks, like after every good heist,
as we all know.
Can we just talk about the money part of it at the bank? Because to speak to Jess's suspicions of Jacob, Avery really talks about this a lot, how Jacob was counting the stacks and had them all was like over counting and under counting all over the place, Jess.
Yeah, he was definitely the fact that they highlighted this so blatantly is a point not in favor of Jacob being the mole. This smacked of
Interesting.
I'm trying to make people think I am the mole. And the fact that they hammered on it so heavily of Avery thinking she's got one over on everybody else by figuring this out, that kind of made me think less that he would be the mole, paradoxically.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, there's going to be at least one thing like this for everybody. You would think
Sure.
if they're trying to distribute this right, in the editing of the thing. So
The thing that drove me nuts is she's like, okay, I'm making stacks of 100, and he's like, great, here's 50. She's like, what is this?
yeah,
This is not what I'm doing. But if you're counting money fast when you're under a deadline of an hour, it's understandable to make that mistake. I think she's making more of it. She's like, this is sabotage. This one had 49.
yeah.
And this one had 51.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not like it was 60. It was off by 1 or 2. That can happen. I've balanced a lot of cash drawers in my life, not under the pressure of an hour clock on a television program. And you got to count things twice. You just always should.
Yeah. Worth noting, I think, if one of the things certainly that the first 2 seasons of The Mole enjoyed doing was leaving these little clues in the episodes for the audience to puzzle out, to figure out who the mole is at the end of this. And there's a lot of really ridiculously stupid clues along the way over the course of those 2 seasons of the Anderson Cooper era. So I am trying to think while we're watching this, Jess, what is the Netflix era's version of these stupid clues that once the mole is revealed in the final episode, that they will then trot out for us of like, you idiots, you should have known because we said this on the show. And one thing is a point in the favor of it being Jacob the firefighter is the mole, is I believe it is Will who, when they're screwing up the gold challenge, he says, it's a trash can fire, in a dumpster fire, in a forest fire. And I submit to you, Jessica Liese, that if Jacob wasn't the mole, that maybe the firefighter could have put some of these fires out.
I mean, I don't think we can call it a clue if it's somebody that doesn't know who the mole is
They left it in.
saying a thing. But I do think that...
How many of those clues in the past could you have really called a clue?
Well,
That's
here's
true.
the thing, Josh. We are in the world of HD video that we can pause and rewatch and rewind at our leisure. And I think that makes the little subtle clues a little bit less fun.
And they expected us to do that in 2001 with our VHS
Yeah.
tapes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a turducken of fires, though.
I
The
do
word
like
I
that
was
too.
gonna use
Fire
also,
ducking.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like The Sandman on Netflix when Morpheus and Lucifer are playing this game where they just have to keep like topping each other in terms of which is the greater catastrophe. Like a tornado beats a tiger, a meteor beats a tornado, the Big Bang beats the meteor. It's sort of what's happening with the fires here. I don't know what's bigger than the forest fire. I don't want to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a game like that. It's like a card game, and there's a bunch of nouns on cards, and you have to decide like which one is bigger than the other one, and some of them are like very abstract concepts. And
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a strange game to play with your first grader, but
yeah. So we leave with this cliffhanger of, okay, obviously you all sucked at the gold. The gold, you lost all of that. Good job. But here's the cash, and the amount of cash in these bags is the equivalent of ... smash the credits, and then you have to hit next episode. I thought it was a weak cliffhanger, especially because I felt like we would come back, and for whatever naive reason, Rob, I was like, oh, well, they're just going to come back and they got this one. But no, I do think that like when we return for the cliffhangers, more often than not, Rob, I feel like the worst case scenario has happened.
Yeah. They were off by so much. They were off by almost $700, which is like they weren't allowed to be off by $1. They had to hit it
That's a
right on the
lot.
button. They were it wasn't like they were at $10,008.
Mm-hmm.
It was not close. This was a total waste of time all around on all fronts for everyone.
Mhm.
At a
They didn't
certain
get
point-
one gold nugget, and they did not get $10,000.
At a certain point, it's really frustrating to just watch everybody be bad at things over and over.
Yeah.
Like they need to throw us a bone like every second or third task. Like let them drop a little bit of money in the bucket. They could even just take it away right away. But watching them fail over and over is
just
hard.
sit at $3,500.
Yeah.
For so long.
I mean, go up to 4,500 every so often and then just drop back down. It's okay.
No. Lock me in as somebody who would watch Hans Moleman get hit in the junk with the football on a loop for the rest of my life. I'm in. I love watching these people screw it up. I hope that they clear the $3,500. I hope they lose all of the money they get in the train thing. I want them to zero out by the end of the season.
Mhm.
I want them to owe money to
Yes.
production.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Alex
fair.
Wagner sitting there saying, "Okay, we'll take a check.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they
We
still
accept Venmo."
they
Yeah,
still
can we
haven't earned
split
enough
it
money
5 ways?
to book a flight home. They're still in Australia.
They're just
They never
gonna
left.
be stuck there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there was one season, I can't remember which one of the like civilian seasons, where they were doing really poorly for a long time. And you could tell the show felt bad and was like, here are easy things to get money. But this season, there has been a lot of, okay, you can spend money you don't even actually have yet. Like in the very first task, where they were like, yeah, you can spend $2,500 to get a clue to find to open this crate you haven't found yet. So the show does not seem too bent on getting these people money.
Yeah. Or maybe these people, they're just, here's a guy who sucks at the game rolling into town in a town car, and you just let him in and walk in with $10,000, and they all say, no, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
brutal.
We're all right. Anyway, Sandy leaves here.
Good.
Yeah. She tells Alex, I'll walk out with my head held high.
Put her in your hottest town car.
With no food all the way to the airport.
No maraschino cherries.
Nope.
Nothing.
Fill
Okay.
them with wasabi.
Serve her one of our Australian pies.
Famous Australian
Uh-huh.
pies.
Yeah. So we go to the rural town of Gympie, which is a historic mail hub in
Bring
the
out the
Mary
Gympie.
Valley.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy any of it.
Mm-hmm. Gympie.
I mean, first they went to this bank that looks like they're in Hollywood Studios in Disney
Mhm.
World.
Mhm.
It literally just says bank on the
Yeah.
outside. And now they're going to Gympie?
Yeah.
Come on.
Are we
Yeah.
going to have to do a quiz about and pick out the fake Australian town?
Apparently.
I'm going to get on the horn to
If
Sarah
you-
Carradine right now.
Sarah Carradine. If you told me Gympie was a real
Yeah.
place, I would not
Mhm.
believe you.
Yeah. Gympie.
Have we seen one other civilian along the way?
No.
through- Yeah.
We've seen no human beings anywhere.
No, as
Mhm.
far as we can tell, Netflix has wiped out the population of Australia.
Okay. All
To
right.
be fair, we are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Not
but
in
we don't even-
Australia, they're not.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about Australia.
Yeah.
Things are going well there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liv says I've been to Gympie. It really is real,
Yeah.
and it's spectacular.
Okay.
It's spectacular.
Listen, I would love to go to Gympie. I'd like to ride the train. I'd like to hold one of those long pole things and take
Mhm.
bags of money.
That looks stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one I would have wanted to do, and it looks stressful.
Yeah. I think that the train people probably thought like, oh, sweet, I get to drive
Oh.
the train. And they're like, no, you get to hold on to this long pole.
Pitchfork thing and hope for the best.
Yes.
Frail
Fewer
Mary will
money
be so
as you
excited.
go. Mm-hmm. So they have 3 different routes to go. One team has to pick up mail packages on foot. It's an endurance challenge. One has to go by car. It's a navigation challenge. And then the rail team, it requires nerves of steel.
Done.
That's it?
Done.
I don't know. So Yeah, we get into this where if they succeed, they could have a total of 18,000 that they could potentially add to the pot, which would be huge, would be humongous for this crew at this moment in time. Of course, they will bungle it. Cassie, Casey, and Greg, they're on the train team. Will, Pranav, and Avery, they're the Foot Squad, the Foot Clan. Jacob and Joy, they are in the car team. And Jacob is really excited to be in the car with Joy to see if she is indeed the mole, to get a look at it up close. I love here in this moment, Joy says, I'm comfortable with navigation, so I'll be.
And why? Why does no one say no? Absolutely not.
Imagine being the mole.
There's a moment.
And having Joy in the back seat with a map.
There's a moment earlier in these 5 episodes where they're like driving to their night out, I think, that ends up being the button mission.
Yeah.
Where they're joking about how they don't want Joy navigating them to the place they're going out for the night. And now they're doing a mission worth money, and 9 people are all like, yeah, sure, you can be the person with the map again.
Yes. Yeah. How does the mole not just crack up on the spot? How is the mole not just like immediately
Joy,
break
okay,
character and
yeah,
go, good?
Absolutely, please.
Good.
You do the map.
Navigate us, Joy. Navigate us to certain doom.
Jess, I liked how they also, I think, borrowed from Tough as Nails that the task was going to begin with the work whistle.
Time to go to work.
Yeah.
Train team has to grab the things off the poles. They do it, except that Cassie screws one up. Yeah. I don't know. This seems hard.
Yeah.
Not for Greg.
But see, this is where I am standing by my belief.
Well, he's a
that
water
Greg is
dancer.
the mole, and he's like, throw suspicion off of me by being successful while Joy has a map.
Yeah.
I could do anything. I could win, $10,000. Joy's going to mess up her part, so who cares?
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet that the Joyride is coming back with minimal amounts of money. The car has to be in the train station before the train. Think if you're Greg and you're the mole, you're like, yeah, they're not coming in. No, not in time. No way. Foot Squad makes it, but there's a lot of struggle with Avery. They have to clear 7 miles in a little over an hour. That's not insignificant.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's like a 12-minute pace.
Yeah, it's not insignificant if you're not like a runner. And Avery says yeah, I'll go, but it doesn't seem like she's a runner.
Why?
Yeah. I thought people were being kind of hard on Avery. I'm like, this is 7 miles. This is no joke.
Wrong.
No, definitely not. It isn't a joke. It's very serious. And yet, then don't come.
Right.
If you can't run.
Why is she going slow?
Yeah. You're not part of the foot team.
Yeah,
Until you're part of the foot team, you don't run with us. Walk slowly. I think that she should have been in the car.
Yeah, the suspicious part is not her running slowly or being like, I can't run that fast, because same, as a short person with asthma, I can't run that fast.
So you don't go on the turbo team.
But I would never say I was great, let's run 7 miles. No, thank you.
Yeah. Pranav, like Captain America, could do this all day.
All day.
Pranav, king. Running king.
He knows exactly how far they've run and exactly what pace they have to keep the entire rest of the time based on how far they've run.
Just call this man Hermes because he's the god of speed. So fast. Pranav.
Hermes the god of speed?
Isn't he? Doesn't he
He has
go
winged
fast?
feet.
Because he's a messenger.
What is he? The god of messengers?
Carrying the mail?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the king of the mail run. That's right.
God of messengers is a dumb thing to be the god of. I just gotta say.
Listen, I don't.
God of war, god of love, like the god of the moon. Yeah, I just bring the mail.
When you control the mail, you control information, Josh.
I guess that's true.
And knowledge is power.
Indeed. So the endurance team, the running team, they do make it. They have to throw away some money for bikes. A $2,000 bike ride, Rob.
Absolutely wild that Pranav is like, we don't need the bikes. We can do it.
Well, he's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
but
he's
she's
been
not.
dragging Avery for
He's
what,
locked
6
in. He's like,
miles?
he's in the zone. Like he's got like his fourth wind. He's ready to go. He's just like, he can't even see the forest for the trees anymore.
Yeah. I feel like they should have negotiated for how much for one bike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what if just Avery needs the bike?
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I'm sitting on the floor. I'm done. I am
Yeah.
done. I can have a bike and you're telling me no?
Yeah,
No.
if Joy's on this team, she's like, how much money do we have in the pot right now? Because I'll dump it all for this bike.
Yeah.
Every last drop. Car team, they're late because they go back for a box that they've missed, that they see. Jacob's behind the wheel. To Jess, your point, if he's the mole, he's behind the wheel. He can completely screw this one up.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to take the credit for screwing it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just listen
It's
to Joy.
perfect. It's perfect position to be
good
the
cover.
mole.
Yeah. They do add $11,000 to the prize pot. The prize pot is now at $14,500.
Okay.
So
5 whole figures.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
Dang.
so we move on to a lunchtime mission where we are leaving the episodes this week where they have a chance to like basically double the pot and get back to like $3,000 ahead of where they were before Joy destroyed the pot. And it's a C4 cash grab. 2 seats are linked up with a detonator. And if both people leave the seats, if they both get voted out, then the money gets destroyed, which I hope we get to see. God. Oh, geez. I hope that the first thing that we get to see when we come back next week. Money
Doesn't
on
it
fire.
seem a little dangerous
literal
to have
explosion?
an explosion, like,
Yeah.
you know, with Will sitting at the table?
Oh, I just want them to burn the money like the Joker. What do Joker and Hermes have in common? It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little throwback. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
Not
Joker
an
stuff.
iconic line
I mean,
from
this
the
is
thing.
classic mole, though. Like money and bombs, and you have to
Yes.
figure out how to
Spycraft, Jack Bauer. Yeah.
disarm the wire.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Call CTU. Like there's definitely that vibe. So this is fun. I like seeing this. Everyone has an exemption on the line as well. If you make it to the end and you are not one of the detonator chairs, you are in line for the exemption, but you have to like convince everybody that you are on a detonator chair.
Was anybody else having a hard time trying to follow what the rules of the game were?
I definitely spaced out for the first half of the game, and I think I figured it out once we were like getting close to the end.
I had to watch it 3 times.
Mhm.
I was like, wait, hold on. So wait, the person who has the detonator has the food that's not bad, but you want to vote out the people that don't have that are eating the bad food.
Yes.
And they have to pretend that their food is good so they can stay, so that
Mhm.
they can get the exemption. So when it gets down to Will and Joy,
Yeah.
they both know. Will knows he's been sitting on a detonator, and Joy knows that she hasn't been.
Would it have been better? Should they have
Probably.
inverted it where the people that were on the detonators should have had the bad food, or would it have been so obvious?
Yes,
that, like,
I think that. I think it would have been too obvious. And I think like if you have the bad food and you're on the detonator, you're like, don't vote me out. I definitely am on the detonator. I just ate shit. You know, like I feel like it would be pretty clear. I think it'd be pretty clear. But it was interesting to see everybody's poker faces. Jess, I felt like people like played this pretty well.
Yeah, like I don't know how much we didn't see, but it sure seemed like every time they voted somebody off, they showed their tell.
Yeah.
Whether it was like Casey kind of choking on her food as she was pointing out Pranav's eyes watering, or it was like Avery, this was subtle, but like Avery didn't drink her drink. Like she takes a very tiny sip of it and sets it down, and then it's still full when they vote her off.
Right.
Yeah, to drink a glass of apple cider vinegar, it would be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Like, can you smell? Like, I feel like who has the apple cider vinegar next to you? Like, it's very pungent.
It is. You took the word right out of my mouth. It was pungent, was what I was gonna say.
But
It is a pungent smell, the apple cider vinegar.
I think the whole table would smell like it. I think it'd be hard to pinpoint where you're not smelling it.
They all just reek of vinegar from this day forward.
Lovely.
They've got no money and they smell like vinegar.
Yeah, poor Greg. Really
He's
could
like,
not
"Yeah,
handle his vinegar.
I can't even afford a bath.
I gotta go.
They're gonna reek. No mouthwash. They can't afford it.
And
You're
Will
gonna
is
smell
like,
vinegar and wasabi peas for the rest of your life.
was like, I just wanted to eat dinner.
Yeah, these poor fools.
And he ended up with perfectly normal food, but he's like
Yeah.
so upset that there's more mission that he has to do.
Well, yeah, he's like, got too much mission. I don't want to eat any more mission. Please.
I ran 7 miles. I'm so tired.
Let me
I
have a
just want
burger.
to
I
eat.
just want a burger. What is this? What are you making me eat? What is that? So they have to eat the Australian pea pie. They have to.
It's not a pea pie, Josh.
What? There's mushy peas. It is.
You're a pea pie.
That's peas on the pie. What do you want? That's what it is. Gimpie.
Kim pie.
Yeah.
I mean, they specifically call it an Australian pie. They don't call it a meat pie because I'm sure somebody on the cast is vegan, and so one of them got a vegan pie.
Yeah.
But
Am I alone here? That's a pea pie. There's peas on the pie. That's the dominant ingredient. It's a pile of peas on a pie.
say that 5 times fast.
It's piles of peas on the pie. It's a pile 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 of peas on the pie chest. It's a pea pie. Australian
It's closing
pea
in
pie
on
that they have to eat.
11:30 p.m. on a Monday.
Pea pie.
I have to work tomorrow, you guys.
I'll wrap it up. Okay, so Joy and Will, it comes down to them, and Joy is gifted with the opportunity to steal all of the money again for an exemption. Cut the wire, and you get $15,000 in the pot. Take the exemption, and you don't even have to read this part, by the way, if you don't want to. Joy,
She kept going.
And he's like, don't stop now.
Joy,
Stop reading it now.
Joy, Rob, is so terrifying that she will just look you dead in the eye as she ravages you. She's like, no, I'll just read you the note. Yeah.
If I take this exemption,
I'm
the
greedy.
money is gone.
I mean,
and
how would
I am
you-
going to take this exemption.
Poor, hungry, starving, exhausted, has just run 7 miles. Will looks at Joy. Just, you've already had one, Joy. Like, he knows it's a lost cause.
Yeah.
He's the only adult in the room who could maybe do something about this, but there's nothing to be done. He says, you've already had one, Joy. And she looks at him and says, I'm greedy. I want to win, Will.
Sorry.
Sorry. Gimpy. But Gimpy.
Oh, goodness.
So that's it.
That who has Joy been suspicious of? I know she's had exemptions. Going back to the first quiz, she was really keyed in on Will. And I feel like that she
Obsessed.
was kind of like all in on Will being the mole. It's interesting that we're, back to these two here at this pivotal moment. There's no chance it could be Will, right?
Yeah.
It's not Will.
Okay. I don't think it is.
Yeah. Is he being the mole by being really, really good at stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Joy is finally not suspicious of Will after he gets hurt on the rocks.
Yeah.
She's like, the mole wouldn't go that hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but they haven't given
But
us
he's
any
reckless.
perspective of who she's suspicious of in his place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If they have, I've lost the plot on it. And maybe Joy has as well.
That's why she needs an exemption.
Yeah.
Did she ever
Have it?
Did she ever? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess TBD on
Yeah.
how this is going to play out. 3 new episodes dropping on Friday.
Yes.
Coming here pretty soon.
Have any of you taken the quiz that Netflix has put out?
No, I haven't. Can you provide? Where do I find it?
Yeah, should we play it? Should we do
Yes.
it together?
Yeah,
do you have time for
Is
that?
Tadum.com?
Yes, that's on
Yes.
Tadum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jessica
Okay.
Liese has outsourced the quiz portion of the
Okay,
podcast
to Netflix. Okay.
Great
Now, I
connect
don't know.
from
Does
Jess.
does it tell us anything? Okay.
I've taken it a couple of times.
Okay.
Oh.
And does it give you any information?
And do they send a message to your cell phone and then your screen lights up red or green, slowly but surely?
Mhm.
Your computer
Very
screen
brightly.
just lights up very quickly. And I've gotten it wrong a few times and right a couple of times.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Think you know who the mole is? Prove it. Okay.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. In episode 1, does the moles group make it back to the plane with a red case after the mission?
Jeez. I have no idea.
We didn't need
Yes.
to take these notes. Yes? Okay.
I mean, 2/3 of them do. So even if you're just playing,
Yes. Does the mole
probability.
have hair past their shoulders?
Ooh.
No. Where are we going with?
If we
with
say
Jacob?
no, we're ruling out like most of the cast. I
Yeah.
would say just for safety, I would say yes.
Okay. In episode 1, what group is the mole on for the plane challenge? Team high, team low, team water.
AKA Team H2O.
If we think Jacob is Jacob like a
I don't
consensus
remember.
top mole pick right now?
I'm still on Greg. I'm bullish on Greg.
Okay.
And Greg was
Bullish.
Team H2O, but so was Jacob.
So was Jacob. Yes. So let's go
Mhm.
Team H2O.
Okay.
Team water.
In episode 2, does the moles team press the red button first or the for the password challenge?
Okay. And how are they divided? I
That
have this
was
written down.
Pranav, Casey,
Mhm.
Greg, Sandy.
Yeah, so Greg and Jacob are split apart, so we have to just make a call.
Mhm.
More
Kasi-
people were on the team that did not, by one. It was
Mhm.
6 people did not
I think I
press the button
accidentally hit
first.
no.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Sorry, that
molish
might have been mole.
behavior.
Uh-oh,
Okay.
sabotage.
In
Saboteur.
episode 2, was the mole sitting in the frontmost seats of the car that they took to the
What are you
lab?
talking about
Who
here?
can remember? Okay.
Greg was in the front seat
Okay.
with somebody because he
So
was
yes?
mommy
Okay.
and somebody else was daddy. So go
In
with
episode 3, what mode of transportation does the mole travel in for the island mission? Plane or boat?
The boat crew, the plane
Includes Greg.
crew, plane crew has Greg and Jacob and boat team.
Greg's
I think.
on the boat.
Yes.
Jacob, I think, is on the plane.
All right. So what do they say?
Jacob's on the. I think I have him on
Jacob's
the boat.
on the
so
boat?
maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't know. I might have written it
I'm-
down.
Let's
wrong.
just,
I say-
let's
I mean,
just
I
get
say
to the
boat.
end and see
Just
what
call it
happens.
sea plane or boat, and it doesn't matter to me.
Let's do the boat. In episode
Okay.
3, where is the mole when Alex arrives at the villa in the morning? Inside or outside? Who knows? Yeah.
Outside was
In-
basically the women.
Okay. So we'll say
was
inside.
everybody else.
Yeah.
In episode 4, did the mole want Dom to return? Well, it seems like nobody
Ooh.
did.
Yeah, I think the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
Greg said both yes and no. But
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
In episode 5, which team is the mole on for the mail challenge? You want to answer the train
I
for Greg
do.
here?
Cassie's also on the train.
Yes. Cassie,
Yeah.
that's...
And Casey, and I think Casey's not out of it yet.
Okay.
I'll go with the train. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Who is the mole? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that was
Oh, my
fast.
God.
It's only 10
Mm.
questions.
Mm.
Okay.
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
think it's
Osei.
Osei.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's not Osei or Samara. I don't think
Might be
Sandy
Sandy.
or
It
Dom.
could be Sandy still. Okay.
Yeah.
What are we putting in officially?
Although Will points out the mole wouldn't get a red screen. So helpfully he lets us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have gut instinct responses here? I feel like there's been some consensus building around Jacob and Cassie from your corner, Jess. I think that those are good picks.
I don't think it's Jacob based on what Jess also said of having
Yeah.
Avery point out how hard she thinks it's Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
So
go with
should we go
Cassie, I
Cassie?
think. I'd
Okay.
go Cassie. Yeah.
All right.
I
Let's
think
see.
a lot of our answers still lean that way.
See
Quiz
results.
complete.
Okay. Quiz complete. See if you're close to winning the prize pot or if you've been eliminated. We're going
Okay,
to click
let's
see
see.
results.
Uh-huh. We're
We're
safe.
safe.
Oh,
We're on the right
interesting.
track. Okay.
We're on the right track.
All right. This is at netflix.com/the-mole-show-quiz. So I'm sure you can just
Okay.
Google it.
You probably can just
Okay.
Google it. 3 more episodes coming up later in the week on Friday.
Only 3?
3 more, I believe, is what's going to drop, and then I think it's 2 more the following week, and that's the end of the thing. So we're getting there. We're
Diminishing
already
returns.
getting there.
It's sort of the whole ethos of the season.
Yes. Do we think that there will be any other sort of edge of extinction shenanigans? Like, do we think that someone else is going to win their way back into the competition, or do you think they really were just trying to rig it for Dom and they're not going to do it again?
If they're not willing to let somebody back in when there's 9 of them, they're not going to want to let somebody in when their chances are closer to getting the money.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they leave it in the hands of the players, no.
Yeah.
If they leave it in the hands of the person who's got knocked out to come back in, maybe. But I don't know if they're going to do something like that.
Yeah.
Rob, anything else from these 5 episodes that we didn't hit?
No, this was the show was fun, and this was such a fun recap through all of it. That
We
this
got him.
time went by really quick.
Yeah, we got him.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I think that's 5 episodes of The Mole in the books. We've got 3 more. Oh, well, let's see if the boom happens on Friday. All right. Well, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, the Mole Patrol.
From what I
podcast
understand,
feed.
the podcast feed is back up, baby.
I think we have sussed out the saboteur. We have dealt with them accordingly off screen. And you should have no problems with the Mole Patrol podcast. If you just want the Mole podcast, you can go back into the archive. Some really fun recaps of the first 2 seasons from Jess, Zed, and myself. If you want to relive any of that, if you're just discovering the Mole for the very first time, those podcasts are spoiler free because it was my first watch of those shows ever. So you can listen to those safely if you want to go back. Either way, if you subscribe now, if you can leave some ratings and reviews for the Mole Patrol podcast feed, we would all tremendously appreciate that. That is the most helpful thing you can do here, as we are trying to draw as many people here to talk about the Mole as humanly possible over the course of this Mole October. October? I don't know. It's late. Of course, everyone here is on Twitter for now, at least. Zed, you're at Hard Rock Hope. You're there wherever people can find you on the internet as well. You Twitch stream video games and such.
Yes, indeed I do. Continuing the Final Fantasy journey with the Final Fantasy podcast on post-show recaps and playing those games over at twitch.tv/hardrockhope. That's where you can find me on the internet at hardrockhope on Twitter and everywhere else.
Jessica Liese, you are at Haymaker Hattie. You and I are podcasting about The Walking Dead, not The Running Dead. None of those people would have been on the running team.
No, they definitely wouldn't have. They've been on the shambling team.
You shambled off the podcast the other day to complete an interview that is up now.
It is up now.
Podcast?
Yep, we are. Dan Heaton and I caught up with the winners of Amazing Race Canada and had a great chat with them. It was very exciting to hear a little bit more behind the scenes about some of the weirdness that happened with the season, and they were just absolutely delightful. So that is up in the Amazing Race feed if you want to listen to that. And then also, of course, I cover Amazing Race US with Rob Cesternino and Mike Bloom, and we do that every week. And Rob and I talk to the voted off teams as well.
Incredible. Rob, you and I talk dragons every week here on both RHAP. We put our House of the Dragon podcast out for the Rob Has a Podcast faithful. It's a post-show recaps production, and boy, are we having a time. But no one at Rob yet. You're behind an episode.
Doesn't mean people don't at me, but yeah, it was a busy weekend. I was in New York for my cousin's wedding. And so we had a very nice time Sunday night, but I missed primetime HBO. And then I was on an early flight this morning. Don't worry. My wife watched it without me while I was talking about the Mole.
That's a betrayal.
Dang.
She couldn't wait. She couldn't wait. So
yeah,
I said, fine, you have to watch it with me
Nick
again
Mole.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow.
Nick Mole, Cesternino.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
she's way into it. Yeah.
Well, we'll get you to watch the show at some point so that we can podcast about it, unless Nicole replaces you on the podcast.
She might. She's definitely, she knows way more about things than me in a lot of different areas, and add this to the list.
I'm ready to talk to Nicole about House of the Dragon. I'm sick of dancing around this. Let's just make it happen, please.
Let's see if we can find her for one of these weeks.
I want
when
to
we
talk
do
to
the show.
Nicole about the Dragon Show. So
Yes.
we're talking about House of the Dragon. Rob is at Rob Cesternino. You're also, I believe, on podcasts on Rob Has a Podcast.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and we're talking about right now Survivor, Amazing Race, The Love Boat. Also, Chappelle and I just got done with the latest Nothing But Netflix. We talked about the Redeem Team. Just dropped on
Redeem
Netflix this
Team?
weekend. Yes, it's all about the 2008 men's gold medal winning basketball team.
Ooh, cool. Was it fun?
Yeah, it was a fun podcast. It was really like a lot of like sort of like in the genre of The Last Dance, a lot of like archival footage of Kobe Bryant, who we all know tragically passed away, but a lot of footage of him during that time interacting with everybody on that team.
That's fun. That's cool.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that's on Nothing But Netflix, and there's so many other shows, and you should all be subscribed. And I'm sure you are. I would guess. I would suspect that you are.
Yeah.
I'm at Round Howard, wherever you can find me, tweeting out mostly stuff that's happening on post-show recaps, RHAP's sibling network, where we are talking about scripted TV, House of the Dragon, the aforementioned Walking Dead, and so much more. White Lotus rewatch is happening right now in the lead up to the White Lotus season 2. So if you're a fan of the White Lotus, you may want to check that out. It's got a podcast feed as well. Season 2 is dropping on All Hallows Eve. That's the one before Halloween, Zed. Am I right? Or is All Hallows Eve just Halloween?
That's Halloween.
Shit. Well, it's the one before Halloween. That's when the White Lotus drops, and we're podcasting about it on post-show recaps. That's Ariel and Dr. Amanda, and they're doing an incredible job. I guested on it a couple weeks ago. So did Rob. So if you're a White Lotus person, just wanted to put that on your radar. I think season 2 should be pretty fun. We'll be back in a few days with more Mole Patrol here to talk about the next few episodes of the Netflix Mole. And then I guess we'll do this all over again in a week's time. Mole Monday?
Mole Monday.
Mondays.
I really want to thank. We had almost 500 people here live. We didn't even really promote that we were going to be live.
Yeah, I bought
too
those
much.
last 100.
We didn't even know we
viewers.
were going to be live until a few hours before it happened.
Boy, there's a big appetite for mole coverage.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, cool. You guys are great. The ones who watched this live and the ones who didn't, you're also great. No judgment, no value judgment. Some people just are here and some people aren't. But hopefully you're here listening to us. This was great. ... Thanks from Twitch for Laura. Well, thank you.
Laura.
Thank you, Laura. And thank all of you who are listening. Thanks to the panel. Great listen. ACF.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you for covering the show, says Tracy Mack. Super excited it's back.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, so are we. Mock turtlenecking
Mock
says thanks,
turtlenecking been
everyone.
active in the chat this whole time.
That's great. Heidi was waiting all day for this. Thanks, Heidi. 3 hearts from Teen Idol.
How many of these are we going to read?
Thanks, panel and chatters.
Yeah, just that's going to work tomorrow.
From Poe77's Yana. Lisa, thanks, panel. This was
I'll
great.
stop
I'm
putting
going to
them
keep
up. I'll
going
stop putting
until
them
Rob
up.
stops. Andrew says, thank you for reading all these compliments aloud. Andrew, you're welcome. Anyway,
Great
I have to end the podcast at some point. Or do I? Cliffhanger. We don't know.
Well, we've established I'm allowed to leave early.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's
Very
probably
true.
a good time to just say bye. We'll be back in a week. That's it.